It is all over, it feels like, doesn't it? Life is slowly returning to normal. Too quickly for some, too slowly for others, but we are heading back to normal. But we've got used to lockdown, and now we're going to get used to face masks. Some people have gone homemade, like this guy. Or this man. I think it's a man. Then there's this lady who cut a hole in her mask to help her breathe, kind of defeating the point of the mask. As we get used to this new time, it'll be very easy to chalk these crazy times up to experience and just to kind of move on. And all these questions that maybe kind of bubbled to the surface in those early days, it'd be very easy to let them just drift slowly back to the bottom again and lie there undisturbed as we get on with our lives. But according to Jesus, just getting on with our lives would actually be a really dangerous thing to do, because there is something else hidden and unseen that has stalked the planet and affects us all, that has infected us all. Because according to Jesus, we have a bigger problem than coronavirus. I'm going to put it pretty starkly to you. I hope that's going to be okay. I'm going to give you what Jesus says about our problem from Mark's Gospel. This is what Jesus says in Mark's Gospel in chapter 7. He says, it's from within, out of a person's heart, that evil thoughts come. Sexual immorality, theft, murder, adultery, greed, malice, deceit, lewdness, envy, slander, arrogance, and folly. All these evils come from inside and defile a person. Now, by heart, Jesus means the very core of your being, what makes you, you, what makes me, me. And Jesus says, me and you, that we're heart sick. And all of us, big and small, are on that list. The hidden sickness that plagues the whole planet is not out there, it's in here. Now, we all love to think we're better than others, and maybe you haven't murdered anybody. But we are, says the Bible, says human history, and says your own heart, capable of the very worst. Hannah Arendt was a Dutch philosopher, and as she observed the Nuremberg trials for the Nazi war criminals, she said this. She said, the most horrifying thing about the Nazis was not that they were so deviant, but that they were terrifyingly normal. Now, that is shocking. But it is true. Given a different set of circumstances, I could have done the same. We might put on a mask, as it were, hiding what we're really like from others, and possibly hiding from ourselves, even pretending that we're better than we are. But Jesus sees through our masks, and Jesus says we're all heart sick at the core of our being. We're all infected with the sin virus, and it's way more serious than the coronavirus. It spoils our lives, it brings death, and has eternal consequences. But Jesus gives us this diagnosis so that we might go to the doctor. I'm not talking about the Doctor Who, but the doctor who can help us with this real problem. You see, Jesus has come for heart-sick people. I'd love to show you just a little bit more from Mark's Gospel, and this time chapter 2 and verse 13. It's going to be on the screen. Once again, Jesus went out beside the lake. A large crowd came to him, and he began to teach them. As he walked along, he saw Levi, son of Alphaeus, sitting at the tax collector's booth. Now, I don't want to offend people who really, really like getting taxed. But the system then was even more warped than perhaps you might think it is now. The Romans conquered nations, but let the locals do their dirty work. And the tax collectors would then shake people down for Rome's portion and their own portion, feathering their own nests with the hard-earned cash of their neighbours. This isn't a faceless letter from HMRC with a code on it. This isn't a Roman enemy, painful as that would have been. This is personal. This is someone who lives down the road, whose parents you know, who used to play with when you were a kid, living off your money. So what you need to know about Levi is that the tax collector was a traitor and a thief. He is the guy that everybody hates. Think Ghislaine Maxwell maybe, or Derek Chauvin. Traitor, thief, tax collector. Levi is in that kind of category. He set up his tax booth where people have to walk by and come to his desk and pay what they owe. And what do you think Jesus is going to say to him? Well, this is what Jesus says to Levi. Jesus says, "Follow me," Jesus told him. And Levi got up and followed him. Jesus calls Levi away from his desk, away from his money, away from his whole life. Jesus calls him to a new master, from money, from Rome to Jesus. And there is very good evidence of this guy, Levi, also known as Matthew, wrote Matthew's gospel. And this isn't a one-off. Jesus has been calling Levi's ever since. Look at what happens next. While Jesus was having dinner at Levi's house, many tax collectors and sinners were eating with him and his disciples. So there were many who followed him. Now, as we ease out of lockdown, who are you sharing food with, or who are you looking forward to sharing food with? Friends, family? We're going to visit some family tomorrow. Jesus goes home and has dinner, though, with people like Levi. They are the only people who would eat with Levi, other people like him, outcasts. But Jesus calls Levi, and then Jesus welcomes other people like Levi, people like Ghislaine Maxwell or Derek Chauvin. And that is shocking, isn't it? That's the shock of the gospel of Jesus Christ. The good news is that he welcomes terrible people. Shocking. And that's what the people thought then. Verse 16, when the teachers of the law, who were Pharisees, saw him eating with the sinners and tax collectors, they asked his disciples, "Why does he eat with tax collectors and sinners?" What are you doing, Jesus? Why are you welcoming the worst people? And this is what Jesus says. On hearing this, Jesus said to them, "It is not the healthy who need a doctor, but the sick. I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners." Jesus has come for the worst people. He is the doctor who's come for the sin sick. Now, I want to be clear. It's not that there are some healthy people. There are some righteous people who don't need Jesus. Do you remember what Jesus said we looked at earlier about all of our hearts? No, there is no one who doesn't need Jesus the doctor. But there are people who think they don't need Jesus the doctor because they don't think they're sick. They think they are healthy. They think they are righteous. And can I just tell you that these people who think they are righteous in this bit of Bible, only a few sentences later, are ones that go out to plot to kill Jesus. Jesus knows what you and I are like behind the mask that we wear. He knows what's in our hearts. He knows we are sin sick. And if you know that too, he has come to be your doctor. The sickness is greater than the coronavirus, but there is a cure. And the cure is Jesus himself. Jesus' diagnosis, we all need help. And Jesus is the doctor for those who know it. And he is the one who will offer his life to pay the price for our sinful, overflowing hearts. And I don't know what you think about church or about Church by the Bay. I'm so grateful to you for tuning in and for listening. Thank you. But what do you think of Church by the Bay or church in general? Is it full of religious types or good people or people who have not done X or Y or Z? Is it full of proud people? Can I say to you this evening, no, we're just a bunch of people from all different backgrounds who know we're heartsick, who know we're like Levi. We're a bunch of people who are staggered that Jesus has called us. And we are a bunch of people staggered by the cure Dr. Jesus offers himself. So I just encourage you to keep on thinking about these big things and to ask you whether you might accept Jesus' diagnosis of your own heart and whether you might accept Jesus' cure himself. Thank you so much again for listening. Listen, we'd love to give you Mark's Gospel for free. We'd love you to read the good news for yourself. Check out what we're saying. I'm a Christian because I believe the evidence is strong. It's good evidence for all that Jesus says and has done. Let me encourage you to grab one of those from us. We'd love to do that. Also, we'd love to give you a copy of Where is God in the Coronavirus World? If these issues of suffering, which affect us all, and I get that, they're big questions. If you've got those kind of questions, this will be a book that will engage you with those and show you what the Bible says on these things. Thank you so much again for listening.